The 1930s, the Soviet Union. After investigation reveals that some members of the former Bolshevik Party question Stalin's authority, and that there is a network of party members supposedly working against him, Stalin believes anyone with ties to the Bolsheviks or Lenin's government is a threat to his leadership and needs to go. He initiates the Great Purge, which starts with the arrests of party members, Bolsheviks, and members of the Red Army, and then grows to include Soviet peasants, members of the intelligentsia, and members of certain nationalities. Among the victims of Stalin's campaign to solidify his power is also a colonel general, who for his courage and bravery in the performance of his military duties was awarded the title of Hero of the Soviet Union, the highest distinction in the country. His name is Grigory Shtern. Grigory Mikhailovich Shtern was born on the 6th of August 1900 into the family of a Jewish doctor in the Ukrainian city of Smila, then part of the Russian Empire. He graduated from high school in Kiev and got involved in Bolshevik underground activities. While in school, he joined the Social Democrats and then the Left Socialist Revolutionaries. In 1918, right after graduating, he was arrested for possessing weapons and spreading illegal literature and revolutionary propaganda. In March 1919, Shtern joined the Red Army, and the same year he also became a member of the Communist Party. Shtern served in the Russian Civil War, which took place from 1917 to 1923, and resulted in communist control over most of the former Russian Empire. By the end of the Civil War, Shtern had fought across the Soviet Union, ending his service in Crimea. In 1926, he completed advanced training courses for commanders at the Frunze Military Academy in Moscow, which was one of the Soviet Union's most prestigious military schools. In 1929, Shtern undertook further leadership courses at the Red Army Military Academy and acquired international language skills. In November 1935, Grigory Shtern was awarded the military rank of division commander, and 1 year later, he was appointed commander of the 7th Cavalry Division. From January 1937 to April 1938, during the Spanish Civil War, Shtern acted as chief military advisor in Spain under the pseudonym Grigorovich. The civil war in Spain was fueled by political, social, and economic divisions, and involved the leftist Republicans, comprised of various leftist and anarchist groups, against the nationalists led by General Francisco Franco, who sought to establish a fascist regime. The Spanish Civil War attracted international attention, and both sides received support from foreign powers. While the Republicans had assistance from international volunteers and the Soviet Union, the nationalists received aid from Fascist Italy and Nazi Germany. The Civil War in Spain was a great opportunity for Nazi Germany to test and develop methods of strategic bombing, which would soon be used during the Second World War. During his service in the Spanish Civil War, Grigory Shtern was instrumental in the key Battle of Jarama, where Republican forces successfully halted a nationalist advance toward Madrid, and in the Battle of Guadalajara, where he contributed to a significant defeat of the Italian Expeditionary Force. His outstanding leadership in these battles earned him prestigious recognitions, including the Lenin Order and the Order of the Red Banner. In April 1938, Shtern returned to the Soviet Union and was appointed as the Chief of Staff for the Independent Red Banner Army in the Far East. By July of that year, the Japanese army invaded a strategically important area near Lake Khasan, located in Soviet territory near the border of North Korea and China. In response, Kliment Voroshilov, the defense minister of the Soviet Union, appointed Shtern as the commander of the 39th Rifle Corps and ordered him to prepare an operation to expel the Japanese and restore the state border. Shtern reorganized forces and improved the supply of ammunition. The Soviet offensive began in early August, and by mid-August, Soviet territory was completely liberated from the Japanese invaders. Following this, General Shtern signed a ceasefire with Japan on behalf of the Soviet government and was decorated for the victory at Lake Khasan. In May 1939, the Japanese army attacked the Mongolian People's Republic. In August of the same year, during the Battle of Khalkhin Gol, Grigory Shtern led a combined force that consisted of the Mongolian army and elements of the Soviet 1st and 2nd Far East Army, resulting in a significant victory. Later that month, Shtern was awarded the title Hero of the Soviet Union and a second Lenin Order by decree of the Presidium of the Supreme Soviet of the Soviet Union. While Soviet historians often credit General Zhukov with the victory at Khalkhin Gol, Zhukov was actually subordinate to Shtern at the time. The Second World War began on the 1st of September 1939 with the German invasion of Poland. In December 1939, Shtern became commander of the 8th Army during the Winter War between Finland and the Soviet Union, which lasted from November 1939 to March 1940. The fighting with Finland proved more challenging for the Red Army than expected. Stalin's political representatives oversaw the front lines, and random executions of commanders were carried out, increasing the fear among them about withdrawing troops after failures. In the early stages of the Winter War, several Russian rifle divisions and a tank brigade had been encircled by the Finns. In December 1939, Shtern proposed to the High Command Council that the surrounded units should retreat 15 to 20 kilometers immediately, but this suggestion was initially rejected. It was not until February 1940 that he received permission to withdraw the 8th Army units. Shtern also introduced ski groups into the Red Army, modeled after the Finnish troops, which were equipped with automatic weapons. Despite these efforts, the decision to retreat came too late, and losses remained high. In March 1940, large parts of the 8th Army managed to break through the Finnish lines and reach Loimola, a strategically important settlement in North Karelia. Additionally, Soviet units from the newly formed 15th Army broke the blockade surrounding the encircled rifle divisions. In May 1940, Shtern was awarded the Order of the Red Star for his service in the Winter War. By June 1940, he was promoted to Colonel General, and later that same month, he became the commander of the Far East Military District. Shtern strongly advocated for the massive deployment of tanks, artillery, and air forces, emphasizing the need for coordinated action among these units. Many of his strategic insights and conclusions were later applied during the Great Patriotic War, fought between the Soviet Union and Nazi Germany from June 1941 to May 1945. In January 1941, Shtern became responsible for the air defense of the Soviet Union. Right from the start, he actively visited military districts and supervised the introduction of new defense strategies. Shtern oversaw the construction of command posts, the creation of new communication systems, and the upgrade of radio equipment. Between April and May 1941, he was instrumental in developing air defense strategies and tasks for the troops in the Baltic, Kiev, Odessa, and Leningrad military districts, preparing operational plans to defend the state border in case of war. By mid-1941, due to Stalin's paranoia, the Red Army faced significant challenges. The Great Terror of the late 1930s had severely weakened its leadership by executing or imprisoning many experienced commanders. Between August 1936 and March 1938, the NKVD, the Interior Ministry of the Soviet Union, carried out the Great Purge, which was the imprisonment or execution of a huge number, possibly over 1 million, of citizens throughout the Soviet Union as alleged enemies of the people. Upon Stalin's rise to power, some members of the former Bolshevik Party began to question his authority. An investigation that revealed a network of party members supposedly working against Stalin included several of Stalin's rivals. By the mid-1930s, Stalin believed anyone with ties to the Bolsheviks or Lenin's government was a threat to his leadership and had to be removed. The Great Purge started with the arrests of party members, Bolsheviks, and members of the Red Army, and then grew to include Soviet peasants, members of the intelligentsia, and members of certain nationalities. During its mass operations, the NKVD widely utilized imprisonment, torture, violent interrogation, and arbitrary executions to solidify control over civilians through fear. By 1938, however, the oppression had become so extensive that it was damaging the infrastructure, economy, and even the armed forces of the Soviet state, prompting Stalin to wind the purge down. Though the repression was eased, arrests, torture, and executions continued. On the 15th of May, 1941, a German aircraft not noticed by the air defense flew from Białystok via Minsk and Smolensk to Moscow, where it landed. When Stalin discovered this, he was enraged, and the incident was followed by a wave of arrests among the leaders of the air defense and air force. Grigory Shtern was arrested on the 7th of June, 1941. However, the incident with the German aircraft was only a pretext, as the NKVD had started to gather incriminating evidence against Shtern from as early as March 1941. After his arrest, Shtern was brutally interrogated. The investigation was led by the notorious torturer Lev Shvartsman, who hit him with an electric cable with such force that it severed Shtern's right eye. Shvartsman immediately apologized to his boss, Vsevolod Merkulov, who was present during the interrogation, for the blood that had spilt on the carpet. Shtern, unable to bear the pain, signed a false confession that had belonged to a Trotskyist conspiracy within the Red Army from 1931, and that he was a German spy. In October 1941, Lavrenti Beria, the head of the NKVD, signed the decree on the execution of the Colonel General. Grigory Shtern was 41 years old when he was shot on the 28th of October 1941 without trial in the village of Barbish in West Russia, along with 25 arrested military leaders and their wives who had been brought from Moscow. On the 21st of March 1947, by decree from the Presidium of the Supreme Soviet, Shtern was deprived of the title Hero of the Soviet Union and all state awards and honors. However, in 1954, 1 year after Stalin's death, Grigory Shtern was posthumously rehabilitated. In addition, in 1959, his state awards and honors, including the rank of Hero of the Soviet Union, were restored. The purge of the Red Army and military maritime fleet had a significant effect on German decision-making in World War II. While many German generals opposed an invasion of Russia, Hitler disagreed, arguing that the Red Army was less effective after its intellectual leadership had been eliminated in the purge. Stalin executed thousands of his own military officers, which had a huge negative effect on the ability of the Soviet Union to win a war, which was demonstrated first with the Russo-Finnish War in 1939, and then again after the German attack on the Soviet Union in June 1941. Thanks for watching the World History Channel. Be sure to like and subscribe, and click the bell notification icon so you don't miss our next episodes. We thank you, and we'll see you next time on the channel.